As always, we are going to start laying down. So once you're all set technology-wise, find a comfortable resting position and we will get started there. You can lay down any way that feels good for you. If you prefer to start practice in a different posture than laying down, again, you choose however you want to start tonight. If you are resting on the ground, either with the legs extended or feet flat on the ground, hands can rest by your sides or somewhere on your body. And once you find your resting posture, gently draw your eyes closed. And allow yourself to begin to settle in for practice this evening. Take a moment to release and let go of everything that you've done today, possibly even everything you've done this week. That is all in the past now, so let it go. And if your mind tends to track towards the future and you begin to think of everything on your to-do list, all of that stuff has its time and its place. But right now, this time is for you to be with your practice, to be in your body and with yourself. So give yourself permission to let go of attachment to anything that is yet to come. Begin to direct your awareness from the external and from the thinking mind to your body. Allow your body to begin to relax down towards the ground beneath you. Give way, all your muscles, bones, fibers, and cells of your being towards the support of the ground beneath you. Allow the ground to hold your body rather than you holding your body. And as we rest here on the ground, allow the back of the head to sink down. Rest the shoulder blades, the back body. Soften the glutes, the legs, and the feet. Allow the back side of your body to simply weigh heavy towards the ground beneath you. And begin to cultivate a gentle, light feeling on the front half of your body. Maybe you feel the gentle brush of air against any exposed skin. Feel the lightness and ease as you relax your face. Soften the chest, the arms, and relax the belly. While the back half of our body is heavy, weighted, the front half is light, lifted. There's equilibrium within the body, and so with the breath. Begin to tune into the feeling of the inhales and exhales in your body. The inhales bring in space and new energy, as the exhales rid of us anything we no longer need. Find the feeling of the breath within and allow your mind to simply melt into the feeling of the breath. Notice at each point of your inhales and exhales where you feel the breath in the body. Allow yourself to be with the entirety of every cycle of breath, the inhales, the exhales, and that gradient or the space in between the inhales, the exhales, breathing in and breathing out. Pause here for a couple of moments, just allowing yourself to really settle in for practice, connecting with the body through the breath. If you'd like to stay resting on your mat, feeling the inhales and exhales for practice this evening, feel free to do so. Tonight is your journey, so please only participate in the postures that work for you. Your body knows what it needs tonight, and sometimes what we need most is rest, so honor where you're at. If at any point you'd like to just do your own thing or come back to this posture again, please listen to what works for you. If you'd like to begin to move, follow an inhale to reach the hands up overhead, stretching towards the back of your room, and pull the feet towards the front of your room, full body stretch. On the exhale, gently hug the knees in towards you, wrap your arms around the legs. Your choice, maybe you begin to rock side to side, maybe you stay perfectly still. Explore the body and what feels good. As you're here, check in with the major points in the body like the shoulders, the back, the hips, the neck. Just become aware of how you're feeling and let go of any sorts of judgment. Your body's perfect as it is. We'll eventually make our way to seated and then tabletop position. So I'll leave the mode up to you. You can roll over to one side and press yourself up or begin to rock and down the length of your mat. Take your time, move with your breath, and eventually make your way towards tabletop. And again, tabletop position is hands and knees with the wrists under the shoulders and the knees, hips distance apart. We are going to start our first flow here. So once you get here, again, make sure wrists are aligned, knees are under the hip points, and then press the ground away through the hands and the knees until you feel a lift in the shoulders and the hips. We're going to start this flow with donkey kicks. So when your next inhale arises, lift your right knee up off the ground, flex the foot, and try to bring the knee in alignment with the hip. On the exhale, lower to a hover. We're going to do 2 more than hold. So inhale, lift. Try to keep the low belly pulling in. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Follow the pace of your own breath. Exhale, lower. This time we're going to hold. So inhale, lift on up. Feel that right glute squeeze at the top. Pause for a couple breaths. Keep pressing through the hands. Low belly pulls in. Try not to let the low back dip, but keep that low belly in. On your exhale, slowly lower the leg back down. Same thing other side. So inhale, left knee lifts. Try to move with your own breath. You don't have to move with me. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale, lower. 1 more than we hold. Inhale, lift. Feel the left glute work. Exhale, lower. Let's hold this one. Inhale, lift. Pause once you're lifted. Try to lower the outer left hip towards the mat. So rather than lifting up and out, we're keeping the hip pointing down. 1 more big breath. On your exhale, slowly sit down and we'll transition to child's pose. So big toes touch, knees spread wide, sink the hips back to the heels, and drape the body down. Pause here for a couple of breaths, just noticing how you feel. Maybe you sway the body side to side, roll the forehead side to side, find what works for you. Shoulders relax down the back body, breathe deeply, stay in the body. 1 more round of breath here. On your next inhale, gently make your way back up. Tabletop position, hands and knees. Exhale, again, step the wrists in, under shoulders, knees, hips, distance. And then from here, on your next inhale, right hand comes out in front of you. Keep the fingertips on the ground. Left leg comes out behind you. Keep the toes on the ground. Exhale. We're going to try to lift and lower with the limbs extended. So when you're ready, low belly pulls in. Inhale, maybe you can find a little lift up. Exhale, tap it down. Follow your own breath. Inhale, lift, almost approaching this like a moving meditation. Exhale, tap it down. 1 more, then we'll hold. Inhale to rise. Again, follow the pace of your own breath. Exhale, lower. Inhale to lift, and this time we're going to hold. If you're feeling a lot of pressure in the wrist, try to shift the weight forward towards the front of your left hand rather than pounding down through the wrist. 1 more big breath here. Exhale, set it down. We'll go straight to the other side. So when you're ready, step the left hand, right foot out. And on your next inhale, lift up. Feel the back body work and the right glute. Exhale, just tap it down. 2 more, then we'll hold. Inhale, lift. Low belly pulls in. Exhale, tap it down. 1 more, we'll hold. Inhale, lift on up. Exhale, down. All right, let's hold this one. Inhale to rise. Pause once you're lifted. Couple big breaths here. Keep pressing down through that right hand. Try to press through the balls of the fingers rather than the wrist. 1 more big breath. And on your exhale, set down. Child's pose. Big toes touch. Knees spread wide. Sink it on back. Again, check in with the mind. Check in with the body. How are you feeling right now? If anything that I suggest does not serve you, feel free to flow on your own. Breathe deeply, feel the breath. 1 more big breath. On your next inhale, we'll come up to tabletop 1 more time. So again, find your way, tabletop position, hands and knees. Exhale, press the ground away through the hands and knees. We're going to have an option to level up 1 more time. You can stop at any of those first 2 we just did though. When you're ready, right hand out in front, left toes behind. On your next inhale, lift up, and then exhale, knee towards elbow, crunch in the middle. Inhale, reach it out. So we're staying lifted this whole time. Exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, reach out, opposite directions. 1 more, then we'll hold. Exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, reach it out. All right, we're going to hold this one in the crunch motion. So exhale, crunch it in, pause for a couple breaths. Really try to round the back body here using the strength of the core. 1 more big breath, you got it. Inhale, reach it out. And exhale, set down. Beautiful job. Let's do the same thing other side. So step the left hand out, right foot back. When you're ready, when you find your balance, inhale to lift up. And then exhale, crunch it in. Inhale, reach it out. Exhale, crunch. Make sure you're staying with the breath. Inhale, reach out. Exhale, crunch it in. All right, next time we're going to hold. So inhale, reach it on out. Exhale, crunch it in. Pause once you're crunched in the center. Couple big breaths. Stay with the breath in your body. Notice what you're feeling. 1 more breath. On your next inhale, reach it on out. Exhale, set it down, child's pose. Beautiful job. Sink it on back and allow the head to drape towards the mat. Check in. Maybe you feel a little heat in the body, the heart rate elevated slightly. Just let yourself feel the body. Breathe deeply. Come back to equal lengths of inhales and exhales. Again, surrender the mind to the task of feeling the body. Let everything else go. You can stay here for the recap or gently prop yourself up or just listen to my voice, whatever suits your practice right now, but I'll do a little recap for us before I let you go. So for this flow, we did 3 separate movements in tabletop position on each side. So the first one was starting with the donkey kicks. We did 3 lifts and then held for about 3 breaths. You can totally decide where you want to go with that. Once we did each side, you came back down to child's pose. And that's after every round, just for a little reset and to tune back in. The second one that we did was lifting up on the inhale and exhale just to a gentle tap down. Again, we did 3 together. You can do as many as you'd like. And then we held for about 3 breaths. But again, you decide what works for you. Did the right side, the left side, and then again, child's pose. The final variation that we did was staying lifted the whole time, exhaling to crunch and inhaling to reach it on out. And we did that again 3 times and held for 3 times. You decide what works for you if you're proceeding with this flow. But when we crunched it on in, we really rounded that back body and held for a couple of big breaths. Then we made our way back child's pose after we did each side. So again, it was 3 variations of those reaching out / lifting the limbs in tabletop position, child's pose in between each, just to come back to the body and the breath if we've lost the connection. You decide if you want to do all, none, or some of that, totally up to you. Honor your body and the space you're in tonight, and I'll be here for you before we proceed to the next flow. So take your time, be in your body, and move with your breath. And wherever you decide to go with this flow, approach every posture that you take like a moving meditation. So in other words, linking the body with the breath as much as you can. Feeling the inhales and exhales in the body and simply feeling your body work in every posture. Feeling the breath and feeling the body is a much different mental task than that inner voice we so often hear. So come back to the body, feel the breath, and flow within. Notice where your mind tends to go when you are left with repetitive tasks or things that the mind can kind of take a back seat on. If your mind is fully feeling the body, feeling the breath within, stay where you're at. If the mind's taken you anywhere else, that is okay. We're simply here to notice our thought patterns, to become aware of the inner workings of the mind, and to simply consciously make decisions of where we'd like to spend our mental energy. Do we want to spend it in the future, the past, hypothetical situations? Or do we want to come back to here and now, the present moment? If you decide to come back, find your way back to here and now through the breath and the body. Feel the beautiful ripple in and out as your body breathes. For that is something that is real, that is happening right now. The mind cannot argue with the breath, for it is what is right now. Notice as you flow, if you tend to rush through the movements to get to the end. Notice if you can slow down, if you can truly be present by slowing the motion, slowing the breath in the body, breathing deeper, and allowing yourself to sink into the present moment activity without a goal of finishing or getting to the end, but just for enjoying how anything feels within right now. Stay present. Let go of any future goal or activity. If and when you complete this flow, again, take all the time you need if you're still flowing. But if and when you do, feel free to either continue to move in ways that feel organic and natural and good in your body, or simply rest. Wherever you go, stay with the mind on the breath and the body. Use that as your anchor for when the mind thinks, then you can simply find your way back. And if you'd like to move on to our next flow, we will eventually meet up in child's pose. Again, if you're still flowing and doing your own thing or just completing the previous flow, feel free to stay in your body and move at your own pace. And if you're meeting up in child's pose, just take a couple moments to check in, to become aware. Are there any patterns to your practice so far? Internal or external distractions? Anything in particular on your mind? Just become aware, notice, and let it go. We'll eventually make our way to a nice downward facing dog. So on an inhale, come on up, tabletop position, hands and knees. And exhale, curl the toes under, press it on back, downward facing dog. Take a moment or two, maybe pedal out the feet, bend the knees, shift the weight forward and back. Open up the backs of those legs a little bit, and again, just let yourself feel the body. Feel any tightness in the body, feel any openness. Just let yourself be and observe. Become a witness to the internal landscape. Couple big breaths here, feeling into the body. And when you're ready, on an inhale, either begin to tippy-toe or walk or step the feet all the way up to the hands. Take your time. Whenever you get to the top of your mat, rise up halfway and pull the heart forward. And then on an exhale, fold to the feet. Inhale, bend the knees and slowly roll on up, stacking one vertebra at a time, coming all the way up to standing. On your exhale, roll the shoulders down the back body. Great job. Take a look at your feet. Bring the big toes to touch. So big toes touch and then splay the ankles out. I'll turn around so that the ankles are probably about like 2 to 3 inches apart. So almost like you're making a little triangle in between your feet. We're going to do a flow working into variations of chair pose right now. Again, if anything doesn't suit you tonight, feel free to do whatever you want to do. For our first start of our flow, on your next inhale, bend the knees, sink the seat back, sweep the hands up. We're going to pause here for a moment. Take a look down at your toes. Continue to breathe. If you can't see your toes, that means your knees are a little bit forward. So try to push your hips, your booty back, and stack the knees over the ankles. That's the alignment we're going for throughout this flow. All right, let's flow a little bit. On your next inhale, rise up slightly, not all the way to standing. Keep a soft bend in the knees. And then exhale, sink it down. 2 more. Inhale, slight rise. Exhale, lower. 1 more. Inhale, slight rise. Exhale, lower. Pause here. Breathe for a couple of big breaths. Notice if the knees are pressing against each other, try to separate them so they're stacked directly over the ankles. 1 more big breath. Inhale, come up to standing, palms touch. Exhale, dive down, forward fold. Try to keep the feet in the alignment that they are in. Inhale, rise up halfway, pull the heart forward. Exhale, fold in a manner that suits your body. So you can hang in the air with elbows bound around, hands bound around opposite elbows. Hands can reach down, you can grab around the legs. If having the feet, the toes touching and the ankle splayed is too much, then feel free to step them out. 2 more big breaths here. Crown of the head reaches down towards the mat beneath you. 1 more breath. If the arms are bound, gently release them towards the mat. And on your next inhale, rise up halfway. Pause here. Exhale. On your next inhale, bend the knees. Slowly roll it on up to standing. Exhale, shoulders come down the back body. On your next inhale, step your feet out to hips distance. So that would be about 8 inches, depending on how far your hips are apart between your feet, but their ankles are going to be directly under your hips. Same flow, but the feet are slightly wider now. Inhale, hands sweep up. Exhale, sink it on back. Again, make sure you can see your toes. Inhale, slight rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. One more than we hold. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. Pause. Couple big breaths here. Low belly pulls in. Try to point your tailbone towards the back edge of your mat. So we're not lifting the heart. We're keeping the low belly pulling in. One more big breath. Inhale, stand. Palms touch. Exhale, bow down once again. Inhale, rise up halfway. Lengthen the back body. Exhale, fold. Again, we'll pause for a couple breaths in a forward fold of your choice. Play around with the bends in the knees. Maybe you bend deep. Maybe there's just a subtle bend. Breathe through the back body. Use the forward fold as the reset button of your posture. One more big breath. Beautiful. Inhale, rise up halfway. Pull the heart forward. Exhale here. On your next inhale, bend the knees, ripple on up to standing. Exhale, shoulders down the back body. All right, stepping the feet out again. So this time you're going to step your feet out to just wider than hips distance. So semi-wide-legged, if you will. Same flow. All right, on your next inhale, hands reach up. Exhale, sink it on back. Knees stay stacked over ankles. Inhale, slight rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. One more than we hold. Inhale, up. Exhale, pause. Couple big breaths here. Again, knees should be slightly pressing out towards the sides to stay stacked over the ankles. Keep sinking the booty back. Low belly pulls in. Shoulders down the back body. One more big breath. Inhale, up to stand. Palms touch. Exhale, fold forward, following the prayer towards the ground. Inhale, pull the heart forward, lengthen the back body. Exhale, fold. Again, pause here, your choice, what you do with your hands, what you do with your legs. Just please keep the crown of the head pulling down back to the neck, nice and long, and breathe deeply. 2 more big breaths here. 1 more. Great job. Inhale, rise up halfway. Pause here, exhale. Inhale, bend those knees, ripple on up, stacking 1 vertebra at a time. And on your exhale, roll the shoulders down the back body. We have 1 more variation. So you're going to step your feet out as wide as the mat or slightly wider. You decide what works in your body. We're going to do it 1 more time. Then we're all set for this flow. So when you're ready, inhale, hands sweep up. Exhale, sink it on down. Knees stay stacked over ankles. Inhale, slight rise. Exhale, lower. Inhale, up. Exhale, down. Let's do 1 more this time. Inhale, up. Exhale, lower. Pause, couple of big breaths. Again, look at your knees. They should be feeling like they're pressing outwards. 2 more big breaths. Little belly pulls in and up. 1 more. Beautiful. Inhale, come on up. Palms touch. Exhale, down to our semi-wide-legged forward fold now. So feet stay where they're at. Inhale, pull the heart forward, lengthen the spine. Exhale, hang heavy. Pause here for a couple big breaths. Maybe in the semi-wide-legged forward fold, you play around with shifting the weight more towards the toes than the heels, really exaggerating the stretch along the backs of the legs. Or play around with a bend in the knees. Notice where you feel different stretches. 2 more big breaths. 1 more breath. Great job. Inhale, rise up halfway. Pull the heart forward. Pause here, exhale. Inhale, bend the knees and roll yourself on up to standing. Exhale, shoulders down the back body. Step it on. And your choice if you want to stay standing or grab a seat on your mat. But that is our flow. So lots of different variations of chair there. We had 4, so if you're keeping a number in your head, we had 4. Just as a recap, we started with the toes touching, heels slightly out. Together we did 3 going down and then slightly rising, up and down. We inhale up, exhale down, then we held for a couple breaths. So your choice if you want to do that many or this at all. But just as a recap, it was toes touching, then we stepped it out to feet under the hip points, then we stepped it out to just wider than the hips, and then finally as wide as the short edge of the mat. So then after every set, if you will, we did a forward fold, keeping the feet in the position that they were in. Pause for a couple moments. I recommend before you come on out of it, you take a full round of breath before standing on up, just so we can equalize what's going on in the head and the blood flow. So again, it was toes touching, doing the set of the chair dips, and then holding hips distance, just wider than hips distance, and then as wide as your mat. So you can do all, none, or some of that. If that flow doesn't suit your body tonight, that's totally fine. But just find where this works for you, and I will be here for you to guide your awareness. Again, feel free to add in those forward folds in between every set as well, or just go for all of it. Find what works for you. And wherever you decide to go, stay with the breath. There's no need to do that flow. You can do anything else. If you are looking for getting the blood pumping a little bit more, then feel free to try that flow out again. Really try to equalize your breaths. So inhales, equal length as exhales. And especially when we're in these stronger poses, try to relax the face. Soften the jaw. Allow the shoulders to melt down away from the ears. So try to resist tension traveling in the body. Soften into every pose. And approach whatever flow you're taking, whatever postures you're in, as a moving meditation. So we initiate the inhales and the exhales before we add any movement. Our priority is to stay synchronized with the breath, allowing the mind to settle within. Again, rather than focusing on your next step, let yourself just be here and now in your body. Feel the body working in the postures. Notice what muscles light up, what muscles feel stretched out, what's going on within, what happens with your breath. Become an inner detective of your mind, of your body, and just become a witness to the beautiful landscape of everything that's happening within yourself right now. Notice where your mind is at. If there's any thoughts that are becoming to the forefront of your attention, just become aware. Every time we become aware that we're thinking, that's enlightenment. We're waking up. And when we wake up, we have a decision to make. We can either stay with the inner workings of the mind, taking us out of this time, space, the room, the place you're in. Or we can decide to come back to the present moment. There's no right or wrong, good or bad. It's just a decision. When we decide to come back to here and now, we can really be with what is. Soaking into the goodness of here and now when all you're doing is flowing in your body, on your mat, enjoying the feeling of the postures, noticing the mind. Let yourself be an active participant in what you're doing right now, rather than letting the mind take you away. Enjoy where you're at. No matter where you are right now, whether you're flowing or resting, continue to keep the breath, the body at the forefront of your awareness. And when you notice that the breath comes to the back of your awareness, or it's no longer in your awareness at all, just become aware. Bring the breath, bring feeling the breath in the body back to the front, and let everything else go towards the background. And every time that switch happens, bring it on back. Let go of judgment, let go of what things should be like. Just be with yourself. Play around with the mind. Become aware. Take an outside perspective. For our final flow, we will eventually meet up laying down, but take your time. If you want to pause with the mind for a couple moments, if you want to add in any other postures, feel free to do so. We will eventually meet up laying down, but again, do what you gotta do. If you're still flowing, please complete whatever you're doing before moving on. For our final flow of class, we'll do some work in bridge pose. So if you are laying down and you'd like to move on, just gently step the feet in towards you so the ankles are under the knees, in towards your hips. Hands by your sides, palms face down. Whenever your next inhale arises after you get into the posture, gently press through the feet and lift the hips up off the ground. Once you're lifted, pause, take a breath or two. So you can stay where you're at, or I will suggest to you that we are going to do dips or lifts of the feet. So we have two options. Shift the weight over toward the left foot, and then lift the right foot up off the ground. So you're either lifting it with a bent knee or with a straight leg. You decide what works for you today. On an exhale, you'll slowly lower to tap the toes down or tap the heel down with the leg straight. So inhale to lift, exhale, tap, one more. Inhale, lift, exhale, tap. On your next inhale, lift, exhale, set the foot down. And we're gonna go straight to the other side. So shift the weight over toward that right foot. And when you're ready, left foot lifts either with a bent knee, straight leg, exhale, lower. Again, you choose what works for you. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. One more. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. On your next inhale, lift it on up. Exhale, set the foot down, and then slowly lower your hips down to the mat. Pause for a moment or two, just check out the body, notice how you feel. And if you'd like to proceed on your next inhale, press through the feet, lift the hips on up, and we're simply going to stay lifted for a couple breaths in bridge pose. So press those heels down to the mat, squeeze the knees towards each other like you're squeezing a block. Chest pressed towards the chin, chin lifts up off the chest. One more big breath. Exhale, slowly lower down one vertebra at a time, eventually setting the hips down. Again, take a moment or two to rest, feel the body. And we'll do bridge pose one more time with the option to bind the hands. So when you're ready on your next inhale, press through the feet, lift those hips up, continue to breathe once you're lifted. If you want to take it one step further, clasp the hands under the low back. Maybe you inch the shoulder blades towards each other, really puffing up the chest. And we'll pause here for a couple big breaths. Really press through the heels, press the back of the head down towards the mat to keep the chin lifted. Let's take one more big breath here. If your hands are bound, gently release them on an exhale. Lower yourself down. Once the hips are down, pause for a couple moments, check out the body, breathe to the low back. And once you feel like the low back has settled a bit, maybe you add just a gentle sway of the knees side to side. Just keep them in space rather than lowering them to the ground, just swaying side to side, relieving the low back. So that is actually all we are doing for our final flow of class, just a little bit of work in bridge pose, working the back body and the glutes. So just as a recap, as you're here, we started this flow with lifts and lowers of the legs on each side. So you had a choice. You could either have it with the legs straight, lowering down and lifting, or with a knee bent, tapping the toes down and lifting up. We did 3 rotations on each side. You can decide what works for you, and then we lowered down. Then we held bridge pose 2 times with the option on the last one to bind the hands. So that's all we did. After we did all that, we found the gentle sway side to side. Whenever you're completely done with your back bends, then please move to either Apanasana, knees to chest pose, or even sit up and do some sort of forward fold. But wait till you're done with the back bend so we're kind of moving the spine in the same direction throughout. So your choice if you want to move on with that and do all, none, or some of it. Feel free to explore your body and find what works for you tonight. And then we'll meet up for the closing of class. And as with everything that we've done tonight, approach this like a moving meditation. Really try to coordinate the breath with your movements and stay with the gaze in the body. Breathe deeply and coordinate the movements with the breath. No matter what pose you are in, feel your body. Again, notice what muscles are working, where you feel the energy, where you feel the stretching. Just let yourself feel the goodness of these shapes within. And breathe through what you feel, using the breath to bring in space and openness on the inhales. And on the exhales to find a release, to find an emptying of that which no longer serves you. Be with the goodness of the breath and the body and the body and the poses. And as you approach the last couple of postures of our class this evening, truly grant yourself permission to be in your body. So maybe your mind has taken you on a ride this evening, maybe not. But maybe just for one pose, maybe just for one round of breath, maybe just for an inhale, can you completely surrender the mind? Can you allow yourself to be here and now in this moment, letting go of all sorts of thoughts that want to take you elsewhere, even if it's just for a split second? Let yourself be here and now. And if and when you complete your back bends, again, please find some sort of forward folding motion. In other words, bringing the knees towards the chest or the rib cage, chest towards the thighs. So find some sort of motion of bringing the legs in towards you. And if you'd like to meet up for the closing of class, we will eventually meet just laying on our back bodies. So if you want to take any final postures before we meet up, feel free to do so. Again, we'll eventually meet up laying on the back body. So find what works for you. And if you'd like to join me for our final posture of class, I'll guide us through just a simple twist. So if you'd like to join me, find your way to Apanasana, knees to chest pose, and gently hug the legs in towards you, possibly adding that gentle rock side to side. And if you are rocking side to side, press the low back down towards the mat as you rock. And we'll eventually make our way towards lowering the legs to the left-hand side. So when you're ready, allow the legs to lower, arms come to a T shape, and maybe you send the gaze over the right hand. We'll pause here for a couple big breaths, breathing to the right side body. Gently try to draw your right hip away from the shoulder, so almost like you're pointing the hip down towards the front of your mat. Take one more big breath here. On your next inhale, gently bring your knees up to center, and then we'll make our way over to the other side. So exhale, lower on down toward the right-hand side. Maybe you send the gaze over the left hand and pause here for a couple moments, breathing deeply. Breathe to the left side body, feeling the breath ripple in and out on the left-hand side. And once you're ready, on an inhale, gently bring your knees all the way back up to center. Exhale once you get there, and your choice. If there's any final postures you like to take, like happy baby, butterfly legs, anything that works for you, feel free to take it now. And we'll eventually meet up for Shavasana. So feel free to throw in any final postures before Shavasana. Once you're ready for Shavasana, find a cozy resting position and gently draw your eyes closed. And begin to invite in a soft, easy, a relaxed state to your mind, to your body, to the space all around and within you. Begin to soften your body even further, starting by relaxing the crown of your head. Soften your forehead, relax your eyebrows, soften the eyes. Relax your temples and the cheekbones as you soften the jaw. Relax your lips, your teeth, and gently float the tongue down away from the roof of your mouth. Allow the ears to soften as you relax the back of the head and the scalp. Soften the back of your neck, the sides and the front, opening the throat. And melt the shoulders towards the ground beneath you as you soften the upper arms and the elbows. Relax the lower arms and the wrists. And relax your hands, allowing the fingers to naturally curl inwards. Soften your chest, the rib cage, and the belly. And truly melt the back body down towards the ground beneath you, softening the muscles in the back, relaxing the upper, the mid, and the low back. And soften your glutes, the hips, the pelvic region, as you relax the upper legs and the knees. Soften the lower legs and the ankles. And relax your feet, allowing every toe to get a little bit lighter. Notice if you're holding on anywhere else in your body, and try to surrender and melt down completely. And allow this state of peace and ease to translate to your mind. Softening the mind as though it's a muscle itself, just letting it melt away. Imagine as though a warm, heavy blanket is being draped across your body, keeping you weighted down towards the ground beneath you, warming your body. Allow yourself to drift off and rest here for the next couple of moments while your body soaks in the goodness of your practice this evening. Gently begin to invite the awareness back in towards your body. Maybe you introduce small wiggles to the toes, the fingers, the wrists and ankles. Only when you feel ready, gently roll over to either side and pause there to rest in a fetal position. And taking your time, eventually make your way all the way up to seated, keeping the eyes softly closed as you move. And we'll meet with the eyes closed and palms touching at heart center. Take a couple of moments to consciously realize how you feel right now. Draw your awareness to your mind and notice how it feels. How does the space within your head feel right now? Maybe you come up with a word to describe it. Eventually, draw your awareness towards your body and notice how it feels. What word describes the state of your body? And eventually tune into your emotional well-being. What emotion do you feel in this moment? And simply become aware, notice, and let it be. And give yourself a big smile and truly, truly thank yourself for showing up here this evening, for dedicating your time to cultivating a beautiful state within and all around you. When we take the time to cultivate a beautiful state within and around us that translates to not only those that we spend our time with, but also out into the world. So really thank yourself. And thank you so very much for sharing your beautiful energy and practice with me and everyone else who joined in here today. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.